van der Raak. Thank you so much for coming on, Marieke.
Thank you. It's great being here, and it's the first episode, so that's always like a great start to the new year.
We like to start with a bang here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm also joined by Picha, and
Hello.
Unfortunately, Lee can't be with us on this webinar. He has the day shift with his son, so he's sleeping right now. Well deserved, I would assume. So we'll start off as usual with a round of introduction, and before we do that, we're going to talk about 8 steps on planning your next successful SEO campaign, which obviously Marieke is predestined to talk about. So we're really excited to dive into these 8 steps. But first, Marieke, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing at Yoast?
Yes, of course. So I'm Marieke. I am the CEO of Yoast. I have been for almost 2 years now. I took over from my husband, who is still at Yoast, but is a chief product officer at Yoast. Before I turned CEO, I was working with Yoast, I think, for about 6 years. I'm the founder of Yoast Academy, our online courses platform, and I do a lot of marketing. I still do a lot of marketing at Yoast.
Love it. Picha, tell us a little bit about who you are.
I am Picha Neri, and I am a UX and design expert and consultant, and also Cloudways Maverick, of course.
Of course. And my name is
Yes.
Jan Koch. I recently took over virtualsummitmastery.com, which is one of the leading training programs. Super exciting step, but that's not what
Right.
we're going to talk about today. Today, it's all about SEO and that good old organic traffic. And the first step that Marieke lined out for us is assessing your current technical SEO fitness. What's up with that, Marieke?
I like that term, SEO fitness. We're thinking about doing more with that. So before you start with a new part of your SEO campaign, I think it's always good to see what you can improve most upon. And while I generally am more of a content expert than a technical SEO expert, I think even if you want to improve your content, which we are going to talk about, it's a good thing to assess whether or not your technical aspects of your website are taken care of. Is your site speed really, really slow? Because then you have to take care of that. Do you have a lot of 404s? That's something you'll need to take care of, because otherwise that'll really lower your rankings. And that would be a shame, because then you'll have all these efforts and write new content, and it won't matter because of these technical things that aren't that good. So I would always start with assessing your SEO fitness. Picha wants to say something. She raised her hand.
Which isn't unusual. I hope you don't mind.
No.
So yes, one thing, because I'm a designer and I'm sort of quite big on all that. And can you confirm for all of us and all the people watching that actually the way the user experience and even the branding now and things like that of a website actually do matter in terms of how Google sees you? The way people experience your site has now become a factor.
Yes, of course. Yes. So there's always been the user signals, which are important to Google. So if a user experience is really, really bad, then the user won't like it, and it will go away. And that's like the best indicator for Google that the result wasn't a good fit. So having a bad user experience, also in terms of design, is really important for SEO. And well, site speed is the thing that if your site is really slow to load, people get bored and they'll click away. I know that from myself. If it takes too long, it's just something you'll click away. So,
Yes,
user experience is really important. Yeah. You're really happy about that.
Picha is the UX expert in this round, so she really likes to hear that. And I think it's really good to clarify that, because, as you said, the engagement that a user brings onto the website as such, like bounce rate, for example, or time on page, stuff like that, that those are ranking factors. I see that a lot being talked about as a myth, but now having that confirmed, then it just puts a little bit more emphasis on the quality of the website that you are running, rather than just churning out content for the sake of publishing content.
Yeah, well, if you look at what Google's mission is, that's to organize the world's information and make it usable and accessible for users. So your website should comply with that. You should make a website that is usable and which is accessible to your users, because that's the thing that Google wants to give its users. So you should make sure that your website is something that Google would want to rank. And because in the end, they want to give, well, they also want to make money at Google, but they want to give the user the result that it's searching for, because otherwise they will go to another search engine. Yeah.
Yeah, really good point. Do you have any tools that you can refer people to when it comes to assessing your SEO fitness?
Well, Google has a Google page speed inside, so that's something like it, and a tool like Majestic to check out. That would be good. We're currently really working on making like these assessments. So I want to build like a little tool in which you can self-assess your website. That would make it easier to figure out for people, where do I start with my optimization? Because it's a lot. You can do a lot, and you should cover those aspects of your website that make it worth your while, so you're not focusing on the wrong things. And if you look on our website, we have like a whole list of tools you can use in order to see whether or not you're doing great.
So that is yoast.com for everybody in doubt.
Yeah, and then look at tools, and then you'll get them. Just search tools in our search bar.
I have another question.
You're polite with raised hands.
Before I can even let you get on to the 8 steps, which I promise I'll shut up and let you get on with it. But the thing about Google Page Insights is that if you run, I think personally that and that's my question, because I am not by any means or stretch of the imagination an SEO or speed expert or anything like that, but Google Page Insights often takes into consideration lots of factors that seem to me like they are not relevant, and clients sometimes get stuck on that. And the really fun experiment is to run YouTube through Google Page Speed, whatever they took, because it scores so incredibly low. And YouTube belongs to Google, and it's one of the fastest, best optimized sites ever. Also, or for instance, the Guardian website, which is so incredibly fast, but it scores really low in Google Page.
So do you have a better alternative?
I don't know. I definitely don't. I don't.
But maybe there's like another tool to assess your page speed better. I know that the Google tools aren't the best ever, so you have other ones as well to check out whether or not it's accessible. But if you're bad on those, then you should check out some other tools, I think. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's okay. It's okay.
Thank
really.
you.
And you've already touched upon the second step, Marika, which is knowing where to start. And you've labeled that determine your most important pages. And I think that is something I've personally certainly missed in the back in the days when I was doing my SEO campaigns. I was just shooting out into the blue, really, and I was just trying to figure out topics to write about for a blog post, for example, on doing my keyword research with a tool called Longtail Pro to assess keyword difficulty and how hard it is to rank a certain keyword. And then I would just chime out content after content after content without having a clear strategy behind that. So how do we make sure that what we focus on really matters?
So I always love the tools, and if you talk to SEO people, they are all about keyword research tools and stuff, and I think your brain is your most important tool. So you should think about what are my important pages? What do I sell, or why do I want people to come to my website? And check those. I make a list of them, of these are the ones I really want to rank with because they are closest to my mission, or they enlighten the information about my most important product. So think about it yourself from just a product and a company vision, and then check out which pages are actually the ones that get the most traffic. because there aren't necessarily the same ones. They could be different ones. But pages that attract a lot of traffic or that attract a lot of sales, so you can check out in Google Analytics how much money you make with pages. Those are good examples of what pages are doing great. So these are like use cases you can use. So you should end up with like a list of pages you want to rank with and a list of pages you're actually doing okay with, or at least traffic wise. And then maybe they are the same, but maybe they aren't. Maybe the pages you want to rank with, you're not ranking with yet. So these should be like things you should want to go and rank with. And I think just thinking about what you want to show your audience is a good first step. Thinking is always a good step. It's my advice in any situation. Just think first.
I was hoping that you have like this one magic tool that takes all the thinking away.
Everybody wants that, but that doesn't work.
Too bad. So it's really about aligning the campaign goals with the business goals. And just making sure that what you are in the long term driving attention to actually matches what you want your business to achieve.
Yeah.
Interesting. And speaking of that, we have a good question that I would like to chime in here while we're at the topic about business goals. And that is from Ali. Good evening. I would like to learn SEO perfectly as an SEO freelancer. So I learned from different articles, but I need a mentor for leadership. Do you have any advice on where he can get that mentorship and that leadership?
Yoast Academy. You have excellent courses, don't you?
We do. So that could be a start if you like.
Yeah.
If you're really serious about and learning it step by step. That would be a great advice, Peach. I was just thinking, who can mentor him? We have this online training courses. You can start with the free ones because we have like the SEO for beginners is free, and then we have the paid ones. But we actually like integrated our premium product with our paid courses. So all of the courses are $89 a year, and then you get our premium product as well.
Oh, that is super affordable.
That's so affordable. So affordable. That's wonderful. That really is wonderful.
Yeah, we have great content, and we're adding content every few months, I guess. There's a new structured data module coming up just in a few weeks. So yeah, I think that would be the place to start.
Very interesting. So Ali, let us know if that answered your question or if you would like to have more details. I also posted the link to the Yoast Academy for the free training below your comment in the chat. Yeah, back to determining your most realistic goals. The most important pages, rather. Do you have a tool that would allow us to identify what pages are on the brink of ranking, like on Google position 11 to 50, something like that? Or is that just gut feeling?
I think that's hard. I think there are tools that do that, but usually they're pretty expensive if you want to use like
Ahrefs or something like that.
Yeah. So you can do that, but that's hard. So I would suggest, because if you have identified your most important pages, then you should check out, but that's the next step actually, but it's okay. Then you should check out, am I currently focusing on the right keywords, and where am I ranking on those terms? Am I ranking on the keywords I want to rank for? Because you could be ranking. So we in back in the days, Yoast also had a Google Analytics plugin, and we were actually #1 on Google Analytics, but nobody clicked on our results, because if people were looking for Google Analytics, they weren't looking for our plugin. They were looking for Google Analytics. So you can rank like second, but if it's not the right keyword, then that doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So user intent and search intent is really important.
Yeah.
Interesting.
These things should really be aligned. Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense actually. And is it true? I remember that I think Google Search Console was showing the results that you are, or the search terms that you are ranking for. Is that still the case with GDPR and stuff like that?
I don't know. They've been So in the old days, you could see much more. That you could see what you're finding for, but it's getting less and less what you can see.
Yeah.
In terms of search terms. So it's
Okay,
hard, always hard.
yeah.
And we don't have like an answer.
But that is actually, in one case, I think it's really relieving, and it allows you to reduce the stress you put on yourself in this, because if you don't have an answer and the Yoast team who makes a living of SEO doesn't have the one definite answer, I think you cannot expect
There
as a
isn't
blogger
one.
on your own. Yeah, you cannot expect to find that holy grail. So that is
No, it's
just...
not, and it's look, in the old days, SEO was a game, and you could but it's not. If everything that's like a gimmick or a thing, it usually doesn't work in the long run. You can play with things and try things, but in the end, you just have to make like a really good website and make sure that it's aligned with what your audience wants to read and wants to see and understands. Yeah.
Yep, that's really important. And we have a very nice testimonial for you.
Oh.
I just love the Yoast Academy, and getting the Pro plugin is #1 on my wish list. So that is very good to hear. And we also have another example of international SEO and user experience, I would say, with Derek highlighting the importance of having a CDN for international traffic and international SEO to just ensure fastest loading times.
Yeah.
And I had to cut off that comment just for reference. So check the comments below the video, everybody watching. There's the full comment that Derek left with a hard recommendation for Cloudways. So that's always nice to hear. Also good to hear that Taco Fondershot is in the chat right now. So if you have any questions for Yoast that we fail to answer here, we do have the Yoast team in our back to make sure that you get your questions answered. That's always a really good.
So
really
if you have any questions about the plugin, I don't. Well, I know a lot, but I don't know everything. But Taco knows everything.
So, and I love that I've just seen Taco's mentioned that you have a Blue Monday sale, and that is so nice. So nice to have a Blue Monday rather than as well. I mean, I'm sure you have a Black Friday one, but because I now live in a really sunny climate. We had like 10 days, and that was our winter, and it's gone now. So Blue Monday for me means the blue of the sky and the blue of the sea. But I know when I lived in London, Blue Monday was just like the deepest. Oh my God, mid-January in London was like, this is never going to end. There's nothing to look forward to in life. So a discount is really, really nice when people have got the winter blues. So thanks. And by the way, this is just us. Marika wasn't here to promote Yoast. It's just
that's true.
coming naturally. Just to be fair, it's coming completely naturally.
Yeah,
it's all organic. It's all organic.
I think the Blue Monday sale ends, I think, at midnight. I don't know, because it's Tuesday actually today. We're always running it until somewhere it's not Monday anymore. But I think we'll run it through midnight Dutch time. I don't know. Taco knows. Taco knows everything.
Taco, leave a comment below. If you don't mind. Brilliant. So next step on the 8 steps to planning successful campaigns. So far we tackled the assessing your current technical SEO fitness and determining your most important pages. The next step is to actually do the keyword research. And I nerd out about all the tools that you can use. But I think in some way or form, that's just me trying to avoid having to think for myself. So I let Marika take this one.
So you're really happy that we built the SEMrush or the SEMrush integration in Yoast SEO, because we did that. Yeah, and that helps. But still, because when we build it, they wanted to build it in our focus key phrase field, but I think you first should think about what you want to rank for, and then you can use SEMrush to come up with terms that relate to that term. But you have to think first. But you don't like thinking, right, Jan?
Not all the time, no.
So I think if you really want to do keyword research, you should talk to your audience and get to know what words they are using if they search for you, because especially. So in our case, we're building that plugin and we're doing that every day. And then we forgot how people search for us, because they won't search for a redirect manager. They search for 404s. What do I do now? So the words that you use aren't necessarily the words that your audience is searching for. And so you need to get inside of their heads and make sure that you use the terms that they are using when they search for your product. And I think you can't do that without talking to them. And well, you can use the tool to talk to them, but that's it. So you should talk to them, and then you should use tools, because to end up with, hey, which terms do have the most search volume? Like, should I use? Sometimes you should use the however, Google is getting better to understand plurals and singulars, but sometimes there is a difference. So you should make sure that you are using the ones you should be using, because that has the most search volume. Yeah,
that is such an important reminder.
Yeah, but can I just say that that's everything that you've said so far is a validation of my mission, which is to prove that good SEO in this case, as good marketing, good design, and good UX are all the same thing. Because what you're saying about getting in your customer's head, in the head of the people that use your products, is basically the main principle of good user experience, and it applies across the board to every single discipline that has to do with being on the web. There are so many things that actually work that we have in common. So
yeah, I think it's just basic marketing. It's just marketing, just thinking about and also the product versus problem thinking. So a lot of people tend to think about their products, but people don't think about products. They think in problems. They have a problem and they want to solve that. And in SEO, that's really important, because when people want to solve a problem, they type it into Google. That's just what they do.
Yeah,
exactly. And the classic thing, features versus benefits. Instead of a list of technical features, talk about how you're going to help them, what benefits they're going to get. Yeah, basic.
Yeah, we do that. We ourselves do that wrong all the time. So we're now again looking at our product pages and thinking, we did it again. So it's really natural to fill in that because you're talking to each other, getting excited about your product, thinking we need to tell people about our product, and then end up with like this product focused idea, which doesn't resonate with the audience.
Yeah, that reminds me of something that I'm doing right now with the Virtual Summit Mastery audience. With all the students that I can get a hold of, I'm scheduling calls to record short video testimonials, because I need to rebrand from the current owner to the new one, to myself, and I need to remove him from all the video testimonials there are. And one of the questions I ask them is how they found out about the program and what results they were expecting. And now I know that I just have to transcribe those, check for the common wordings, for the common patterns that they say, that they mention, and use that on my next landing page and advertising copy and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
all right, I'm done for the day. I've learned something. I'm good.
Maybe you can use a tool in order, because you have those tools that can help you get the wording. You can count how many times they use a certain word. then you have your tool, Jan, and you're happy too.
Oh yeah, yep. I love my tools. we have another nice recommendation that just goes to show how much effort Yoast is putting into the community. Again, not a pitch fest for Yoast SEO. That you can use their free plugin if you want. Yeah. No need to pay for premium, but it's just good to see that companies like Yoast, who have been there for quite a while, still invest so much in the community, and not just go onto these events to share your time and your wisdom for free. I mean, it's 8:30 p.m. where we are recording this right now, so that's not something I take for granted. But then also the way you support events in this space with sponsorship and help event facilitators run these events. And Peter has a really good event to talk about.
No, I wasn't going to talk about the event. I was going to say that I'm also the happy recipient of a travel grant from Joost 3 times. You sent me to Granada, to Verona, and to Helsinki. Thank you so much. And I was speaking at all those conferences, and that was before I started working with Cloudways, but I was very, very grateful. So
that's great to hear. So see, Lucia has been a recipient of our diversity fund, which is
diversity fund,
aimed to help people who are from a traditionally underrepresented group. I've learned this by heart, to get on stage. So my idea is to get more women on stage, to get more people with a different color of skin that I have on stage, to see new role models and help them. Yeah, so that's a good thing. But
very, very much appreciated. I actually sent chocolates.
Oh, great. Why didn't I? We're actually looking into new ways to to spend the money because of COVID. Nobody's traveling.
That's true.
You've done also that other community.
Yeah, be careful. Yeah, we're still doing that, but we've budgeted, and last year we didn't grant any money, so we're looking at maybe setting up something for people who want to do something in the WordPress world without traveling. So Taco knows all about that.
And you are supporting events like WordFest, which is happening on 22nd of January, which is a very important event. And as repeat watchers will know, Big Orange Heart is near and dear to our hearts here. So thank you so much to Joost for supporting this important event too.
Welcome. I will be talking at WordFest as well.
That is so cool.
Yeah, so great.
I didn't.
I never shut up. Oh no!
I didn't make the cut this time. I feel sad. But with all the great speakers there, I think it's going to be a really fantastic event. And I just love to see how it turns out with going live for 24 hours. But back to SEO. Sorry for rambling so much. So we've covered the keyword research. Let's talk about goal setting.
This is the important part, because here people are, this is the thing, people are terrible in assessing their own goals. And I know this because we have a keyword research training, which is really awesome, because when I was preparing for this, I checked out our training again, because I think that helps you set realistic goals, and that's the most important thing. But we used to also have this training in which people could send in assignments, and we don't have that anymore because it was hard. But and then I could see that people always overestimate their chances to rank in a search term. So it is hard, and you should think about traffic potential. Does this keyword have enough traffic? Because if it doesn't have any traffic, you can rank for it, but nobody will click on it because nobody searches for it. But you also have the ranking potential, and that has to do with your competition. If you're in a competitive atmosphere, like in the travel industry, then it's really hard to rank for something. And you should take that into account and look whether or not it's realistic to start ranking between those really big brands if you're just a small site. And so those two, the traffic potential and the ranking potential, you should both take those two into account, and then come up with something like how big are my chances to rank between those. And that's hard. That's really, really hard.
That I can imagine, and it ties in nicely into a question that we received in the chat from Salvatore. Is it really necessary to use keyword research tools, or should we trust the Google autofill recommendations? Can we trust paid tools?
I think the paid tools are giving us results. We only use SEMrush. I don't use that many paid tools, but I think their data is the best you can get, because there aren't any others. The Google what did he call it? These are great things as well, in order also to seek out longer search terms. So if you know that if you're actually focusing on vacation home south of France, and you see in Google autofill that something behind that comes up, that's a great key to try and check that out. But what you should not forget, if you just take all these keywords, Google them yourself and check out the results that you're seeing if you are trying to focus on a certain keyword, because you have to that's the best way to assess if you could see yourself between those results. Is your site within the same amount of people are working there if you have a company, or is it are these all really big companies? Is your site the same age? Because if you're a really new site, it's harder to rank than if it's older. So all these things are great ways coming up with keywords, but then you should do a little bit of investigation in order to come up to really determine which ones you're going to go for.
Yeah. So if I see a keyword that is covered by like mods.com and hrefs.com and something like that, I should probably not go for it.
No. No. Yeah. Well, no, not at once. So what you should do is you should focus on more long tail keywords. So these are more lengthy and less competitive. And then if you're able to rank for those, you could step up a little bit and go for more head terms. And then you have your internal linking, which makes it all better, but I'm coming up with that as well. So start with longer tail. And when you're in a certain niche a longer period of time, you'll like gain a bit of confidence, or I don't know, confidence in the eyes of Google, and then you'll step up. But you can't just out of nowhere come up with a site about SEO and try to outrank, well, Yoast or more.
Unless you are very competitive, yeah. you write like 50,000 word pieces of content, and one.
But you won't have any backlinks if you start.
True. Yeah,
that's our old guide that will give you everything. But I think our academy course is even better. If I was doing that, I was like, this is the best course we ever made. Yeah.
Fantastic. So in terms of setting the goals for the campaign that you're planning out, is there kind of like a guideline of how much traffic increase one can expect when you say like you're rewriting an existing post? Is that how do you set a goal for that? Can I say like I'm rewriting this post and I expect 20% more traffic over the next 6 months, or how does that goal setting work?
You could say that. I don't know if you
fingers crossed.
I do think that it's a good thing to set certain goals for yourself, just because and it's hard to do that the first time because you don't know anything about what your impact could be. But that just because if you do that, you're more you probably check it after like 6 months and then see whether or not it actually worked. And people forget to see whether or not it actually worked. So setting goals is a good thing, but I can't give you like any, you want that. You always want me to give you like numbers, and I don't have those.
I'm sorry, but that's just the way I learn. It's like I like to have these very detailed processes, and it seems like SEO is very much a tailored approach, if you will, where everything depends on your unique situation. And that is also something I'm glad that we are bringing this up here, is because I'm certainly not the only one who's expecting like this 8-step process to be do this, and that, and that's the result that you can expect in the end.
But there is like this running joke among SEOs that's like, what is the answer that every SEO gives to a question? And it always starts with, well, it depends. Yeah, and it does, because I often get questions of people who say, well, I have this website and now I have to do it. And I don't know. I should really dive into your website in order to give good advice. I don't have like this one advice to give everybody. That just doesn't work that way. I'm sorry.
But on the other hand, that is a very nice business opportunity too, because if somebody comes to you and say, I want to rank my website, then you can sell them an SEO audit before you even start your work.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of work for website agencies and SEO agencies that can do those kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So on to step 4. We had step 4 with setting realistic goals. Let's go with step 5. How do we match the content to our keywords?
So I think you should look at, I have a list of keywords I want to rank for. Do I already have content that's actually optimized for those terms, or did I optimize my content for slightly different terms, and should I focus on a different wording? And then you should like rewrite those. But it could also well be that your keyword research indicates that you should write content that you don't have yet on your website, and then you should write new content. So you have two possibilities already. 1, focusing on slightly the wrong keywords. 2, you don't have content. And 3, you do have content, and maybe you have too much content about which focuses on the same keyword. So I'm seeing this more and more as the internet grows older and websites get bigger. And if people are focused on a certain niche, they tend to blog about it a lot. But if you do that too much, then Google doesn't know anymore which post or page it has to rank highest. And then you're suffering from what we call keyword cannibalization. And that's something you should, you should fix. And you can fix that by merging content, make one really big, good piece out of that, and with your internal linking strategy. So we're getting into that in step 7. So I don't want to give it all away.
You've touched briefly upon Google understanding singular and plural and synonyms and stuff like that. How important is it to have, or is it keyword cannibalization if I have 2 posts that target synonyms of the same keyword?
Could be.
Okay.
Of course, my answer
depends. Yeah.
depends. But what you should do is in Google, search your own site for a certain keyword. So only your own site. And if Google gives you more than one result, then you're probably ranking with a lot of posts for that same keyword. So you should just check. So you won't know until you check. You check a Google site search and see whether or not you're actually ranking with multiple articles, which happens a lot and isn't that big of a deal if you tell Google which one is the most important, and you do that with your internal linking strategy. But if you don't do that, Google gets confused, and you could actually end up ranking lower than if you only would have had one article, because if Google gets confused, it doesn't like you anymore. It's like, oh, I don't understand this. And then your rankings go down.
Wow, that is a really important tip. And that is, if I'm not mistaken, you enter just site colon your URL and then the keyword.
Yes.
And that is a really good tip.
Yeah. Yeah, it's practical, right? And
it's something I can execute on. Yep.
Yeah.
You don't have to think so much about that. Still a little bit, but I mean, we're all here to learn. So eventually I will learn how to think for myself.
Well, you can think for yourself. You just want easy answers. And I get that. Everybody wants easy answers, but I can't give them to you.
Yeah. I'm glad that you don't, because you're not leaving an easy way out on this. And I think that is the best way. It's like, as Petra highlighted in the beginning, it's all about the user experience, and providing a good user experience rarely is easy.
Yeah. No, that's the hardest thing. I really think that's the hardest thing. I'm usually, when we make designs, you need to show them to your mother and make sure that she understands. That's like the best thing.
Absolutely. The testing, across the board is absolutely essential, especially with someone like, if your mother is like my mother, then if she gets it, then
that's good.
Yeah.
I love it. So far, to recap a little bit, we've covered step 1, assess your current technical SEO fitness. Step 2, determine your most important pages. Step 3, keyword research. Step 4, setting realistic goals. Step 5, matching content to keywords. Now on to step 6, rewrite content. You've talked about that a little bit, but please elaborate.
Well, yeah. Then so you end up with a list of content that needs to be focused on a slightly different keyword. So you should re-optimize or rewrite those. You should write the new articles you want to rank with, and you should rewrite the ones you think, oh, I have been writing too much about a certain topic. I should make like one really big, awesome article out of it. So that should be your tasks. And that's just doing it. And writing is a lot of work, and it's not easy. And I don't have any tools for it.
So do you mean actually deleting a blog post and creating a new one, or optimizing the content in that way? Because this is
I will delete
it's a little bit new to me.
Okay, so so if you really have 2 blog posts about the same topic, and you're unable to decide which one you really want to rank with, so if one is not more important than the other one, then I would suggest that you write an article and use one of the URLs of the 2. The one that gets the most traffic, I would choose that one, and the other one I would delete and redirect to the one because you want never delete posts without redirecting them. That's like that you should never. But because then you will, if that one post that you will redirect has any external links pointing towards them, they will be redirected to the ones. They'll not get lost. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, this is something, and it's not very sexy because it's site maintenance. That's not a very sexy subject, but it's something that people will have to do more and more, because they've just been writing blog posts a lot, and then at one time your attic is full and you have to Marie Kondo your website and think what brings the most joy, and then throw some of it away. Yeah.
How interesting, because this fits also with there's a Dave Foy, our friend Dave Foy, and also Kim Doyle. I remember they were having a conversation somewhere. They were saying that rather than constantly producing lots of new content, you should do better in writing longer form and optimizing what you already have. Because, for instance, if you go to Dave Foy's YouTube channel, he's only got a handful of videos, and yet those videos get so many views because they respond to a very specific problem, and he's super optimized them, and they're great. So, and I thought that's a really interesting concept because it suits me much better, because I tend to suffer from perfectionism. So I will write a 10,000, my blog posts are so long, and they take me absolutely ages. So do you think that's a good, because then if you could also chunk things up and use them as LinkedIn posts, for instance, you could out of a really long piece of content, and that's also SEO, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and Google really likes those lengthy posts, because most people they don't want to write them, but Google loves those posts. And I think if you have written something, and if it's not news, because news gets old, but a lot of the content doesn't get old. SEO advice I gave 5 years ago, maybe a little bit outdated, but most of it's still valid. So, and it's a good thing to update it, and then we also republish things because a new audience hasn't read them or is forgotten about it, and the content's still valid. So you should update them and not share old posts. But if the content is good, it's also good a year from now. So you can do a lot with reusing content if it's like high quality content.
So can I ask another question? Sorry.
No, you can.
We've got 2 steps and 15 minutes. So I have my pitchandairy.com website that I've neglected, but it's got, because I've completely pivoted my business, whatever. Anyway, it's not used that much anymore, but people still fight me through it. And it has a few pieces of really good long content, long form, and some of it is not relevant to what I do know, but some of it really is, like a whole series of posts on color that completely suit what I'm doing now. And I really would love to use them on my other website, which is the one that I'm using the most, which is Design for Geeks. how do I do that? How do I recycle that content from a website to the next? Do I rewrite? Do I rephrase? Or what do I do? Look at your face. I don't like your face. I don't like your face.
Can be done, but it's not my expertise, because this is moving websites. You're moving content from one domain to another, and it can be done.
Yeah.
But it's like really difficult with the so you should ask my husband.
Okay. Okay. So that's the next one.
Or maybe Taco can chime in the comments here.
Taco also knows everything.
Taco.
And I think your website isn't that bad, but Joost actually did so the Guardian was on a different domain, and it used to be on a different domain than it is now, and he did like the entire shift from one domain to the other, which is more difficult than yours. So it can be done, but it's not that difficult, and you should, or it's not that easy, and you should make sure that you do it correctly, because otherwise those posts that have collected a lot of backlinks that will lose their value in Google. You don't want that. So get someone who knows what he's doing to advise you.
Yeah. And well, shall I actually we're very lucky, because at Cloudways they have amazing SEO experts, and I think I've asked before, but because it's so technical, then it sort of goes in one ear and out the other if I don't immediately implement it, I have to confess. So but yeah, we're very lucky, because Cloudways, they're brilliant at SEO. Okay, I'll let you get on now.
You should just need a really good technical SEO person, and then it will be okay. But I know people sometimes just delete their content, and I'm like, what are people doing? No.
Yeah, that is one thing I don't understand either. I mean, you put so much work in your content. Why would you ever delete that?
Yeah, well, I also put a lot of work in my attic, and it's full of crap. So if your content isn't valid, so we have like these posts on Yoast, which are like these. Like an announcement that's made like 3 years ago, that doesn't have to be on Yoast and on our blog anymore. You should make sure that nobody gets lost. So these should be redirected correctly, but you don't need the post anymore. And because Google has to crawl through all of that, so make sure to clean up a little bit now and then.
It is such a good point. And we do have one question that ties into this content length discussion that we had a few minutes ago. Is there kind of like the ideal length for blog posts?
Well, in our plugin, we say that it has to be at least 300 words. And we just made it.
Seems fairly low, to be honest.
Yes, it is. So now everybody says a post should at least be 300 words, but we just made that up. I think it's too little, too little. I think usually my posts are like 800 through 1,000 normal posts. But if you have like this cornerstone content, which is which is richer and the things you really want to rank with, like an ultimate guide, that could be like 3,000 words. I don't know if there's a sweet spot, because
I've got like 5,000-6,000. Most of my good.
If you're, but like for a reader to get through such a piece, that's challenging. So the lengthier your, I don't know if that's a word. The longer your post, the more it will demand from your writing skills, and the more important readability becomes, because people have to be able to grasp it. So I don't think there's like a limit to content, but there is a limit in what people can process. So the longer you get, the better a writer you should be.
Do you think that table of contents and stuff like that help with that?
Yeah, it does, because it will help the reader that is only interested in part of your content to get through it easier.
Yeah. Eric, I hope that answered your question. If not, keep them coming, and we'll make sure that we'll get them answered. But we have 2 more steps left in like 10 minutes. So we can do this. Our own question.
The last step isn't that hard. Yeah, so this is important, especially when we're talking about the website's getting bigger, the internal linking structure of your website gets more important, because links are the way that Google crawls through a website. So you have the external links, which are important for your ranking, but the way your website is interlinked to each other gives Google really important clues on where your important content is, because it just follows your links all the way through your site. And if a certain post or page gets lots and lots of links, then Google will think, I'm here pretty often, this will be important. Well, if a post doesn't get any links, Google will think, oh, this isn't really important, I'm not here very often. So the way you structure your website gives Google really important clues on where to find the most important articles. So if you have articles about the same topic, you should make sure that the one that is the most important has the most internal links pointing towards it. And if you now think that you can like trick this, Jan, it only works if the links are actually useful to the user. So Google can see whether or not they are in context. So it doesn't really work this way.
It doesn't help to spam the footer with all sorts of links to a dedicated page, like it did 15 years ago.
That doesn't work. But if it gets good textual links in context, it does work that way. And that way you can have like these long tail articles, a few of them about the same topic, but each focusing on a different aspect. And if they all point towards that one most important one, you'll get a nice internal linking strategy. And this is really actionable, because you can start with doing this, well, today,
right now,
and it will pay off as well. A lot of success stories of people improving their internal linking and improving their SEO.
Very nice. So that is something that I would definitely have to look up on your blog about internal linking.
It's the thing I know the least about. I never really thought about that. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we have a really good course about that as well.
You have so much content.
Yeah. And in the course, we really help you. So you have a video with this nice person who explains everything, and then that helps. At least I am the person who always wants to read everything, but there's a new generation who wants to learn everything via video. I'm old, I think.
Alrighty, and there we have, before we wrap this up with step 8, there is one question that I would like to bring to you, and that is SEO in an e-commerce perspective. And the example given is a landing page which just talks about one product. What is your take on optimizing that for SEO?
Yeah, no, a landing page for a product or a product page doesn't need to have a lengthy article. So we have a different rule set applying to content pages, but like it is a good thing to write about your products, but not and then make sure that the landing page is the one that turns up in the search results. So writing multiple blog posts about your product and then linking them all towards that one important landing page about the product, so it's all like related, that could be a really good SEO strategy. So I would recommend that landing page in which you want to promote your product, that should be clear, and that doesn't need to be like a really lengthy because you want people to buy it. I understand it. You have to have the button, but like writing a lot of articles about your product could be a great way to get the ranking up.
Fantastic advice. And then there's step 8 that I almost don't dare to show because it's really frustrating.
I was telling my content team that I was doing this blog post, and she was like, so the head of our content team, Willemien, she was like, but Marieke, we always say that is a continuously process, that you're never finished. And I was like, that will be step 8. So I can't but we always say that it's never done. So yeah, I'm really sorry, but you can leave step 8 up until December 2021 and then start over again in the next year.
Yeah, and I think it's just that's how it is in our space, I would say. No matter whether that's SEO, whether that's maintaining your WordPress site or building a new design for your site, or whatever you do, you always have to evolve. Yeah.
Yeah, but your business changes. So what was right for you like a year ago can be really different because you've made decisions and you've grown, and that it could well be that means that your SEO strategy should change as well.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was telling you earlier, that my peachanary.com website was my main site for so many years, and now it just isn't. And I've completely changed my focus.
Yeah.
So that's normal. It happens. And then, it's hard to know what to do with a, I don't know if it happens to you as well. This is sort of slightly beyond SEO, but that when you have I have sites and that are for projects that don't exist anymore. I can't kill them. I can't bring myself to deleting them, and then I keep paying for the domain name, and I keep updating everything, all the plugins and everything, because I just can't bring myself.
My husband does this hobby to buy domain names. I think we have like
I know quite a few of us. There's always someone in Slack going, what do I do with my 700 domain?
Yeah, what do you do with it? Yeah, so we have, so if we have a lot of nieces and nephews who are my brother has small children, and every child that is born just buys a new domain name. You never know.
I just bought the domain for my daughter too. Like, she's 7 months old, and I reserved her domain name already.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And we actually, so I have 4 children, and when we got the 4th, he was already checking at the domain names. We were thinking about the names.
The name criteria now is if the .com is available.
Love it.
Our third son is called Ravi, which is a really common name in India, which makes it really hard to get a domain with his first name.
Yeah.
But we didn't think of that.
So that's one case where Peacher is good.
Yeah.
So on Twitter, my handle is Peacher, and it's that there's Jack and Peacher. Really, it's just like the founder of Twitter and me that are with our first name. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I really love your name. I'm not getting any more children.
You.
Otherwise,
sadly,
I
know. Sadly, it doesn't work in Spain. It works really well in English because it's like peach. It's quite nice, but in Spain it doesn't work. I won't go any further than that, but I can't use it. I can't use this pronunciation. I would have to say it in a different way. Could pronounce it differently. It doesn't. Anyway, yeah. We're digressing. We're back to
you know what's comforting me a lot is as we have this domain name discussion, so many people in the comments say that I feel that somehow with all the domains that we are acquiring. Consider it an investment. That's a great comment, Eric.
Alexandra is saying, one day we will all sink on the same boat, not letting our domains go. That is hilarious.
That is so cool. And to bring on another homage to Lee, we are coming into land here, unfortunately, with our conversation. And I would love to continue this for like the rest of the evening. But obviously, Marike, you have 4 kids at home. I have a family. Peacher has a cat. Is video bombing 2 cats. So we all have our own boats to carry, if you will. And
I have to play Animal Crossing because my island is neglected. I have to do.
Oh, that's an important matter. So I don't see any new questions coming up in the chat here. I would love to wrap this up a little bit to just go over the 8 steps again. So step 1 is assess your current technical SEO fitness. Step 2, determine your most important pages. Step 3, keyword research with fancy tools, but also critical thinking for yourself.
Yeah.
Step 4, setting realistic goals. Step 5, matching your content to the keywords you come up with. Step 6, write or rewrite content. Step 7, improve your internal linking, which is what Peter and I want to learn more about. And step 8, be motivated enough to start all over again with your next campaign. Marike, where do people best get in touch with you?
And I think on our website, and I'm on Twitter as well. I'm always reading Twitter, but I'm not a really active poster. So that would be it. And I have my own blog, and I'll never give that up. That's Marike.blog. But I'm also, I should write more. I'm always, I think next year, if this pandemic is over, I'll start blogging again, because I really like that. But it's been hard.
Not feasible with homeschooling 4 kids, no.
No.
Okay, great. Peter, where do people get in touch with you?
Design for Geeks Facebook group and LinkedIn. Like Marike, I'm on Twitter, but I am more of a lurker than an active.
Me too.
Active participant. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. And for me, it's the Facebook group WP Mastery. And also you can touch base with Lee, Peter, and myself in the Cloudways users group as well. So if you have any questions related to Cloudways, that's the place to go. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. We had a blast. It seems that you enjoyed it too. Have a great evening. Have a great day wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining us. Cheers.